Good afternoon, everybody. It's Storm here to bring you another video, and I hope everybody enjoying their weekend. We're less than 4 months away from one of my most anticipated games that's released in June of 2023. So I thought it'd be an interesting idea to do everything that we know so far for Final Fantasy 16. Depending on how long this video is, this might be a two-parter. So I hope you guys enjoy. Grab a snack or anything, and let's get on with the video. For context, we will do the story, icons, and characters for 16. Let's start off with the story. On the surface, it may look like a simple revenge story with our main protagonist for Final Fantasy 16, but it goes a little deeper than that. The location of the story takes place in Valisthea. This is Valisthea, where our story in Final Fantasy 16 will take place, and also it is the home of 6 nations that resides. The people in this land use what they refer to as the Mother Crystal to harness ether and be able to use magic to live out their possible lives. But of course, in this land, everything is not peaceful. There have been great wars that happen over the land, and also this unknown plague that's hurting the land, which they refer to as the Blight. The Blight suck up all natural life in the land, which make them unpopulated and hard to live in. All the nations have been suffering from this great Blight, thus resulting in a big old war for the Mother Crystals, because eventually, when so many people at once using up their own Mother Crystal, that energy will eventually run out. So now it's a big old battle to harness all the ether for themselves. And at some point, the battle got so out of hand, they decided to make a truce. This is Crystallian, one of the nations that resides in Valisthea. Their banner represents the union of all the nations under a peace treaty. The Crystallian Dominion sits at the heart of Valisthea, built around the tallest of all the Mother Crystals, Drake's Tail. Many bloody battles were fought for the control of this small plot of land due to its strategic importance, so the Warring Realms finally agreed to a truce as part of the peace treaty. The islands around Drake's Tail became an autonomous dominion led by a council of representatives from the surrounding nations. Each realm enjoying equal claim to the Mother Crystal blessing. No dominant makes their home there. And I bet you're wondering, what are dominants? We'll get to that in a later part of the video. Now, we're going to move on to the other nations that will also play a big role in the story of Final Fantasy 16. Our first one is Rosaria. The next nation we have is the Grand Duchy of Rosaria, and their banner represents the icon Phoenix. I will get into more icons a little bit more later. But the story around Rosaria is, long ago, a group of small independent provinces in western Valisthea found strength and unity and formed the Grand Duchy of Rosaria. After years of relative prosperity, the duchy now finds itself threatened by the spread of the Blight. A threat that, left unchecked, would doubtless usher the realm to ruin. Rosaria draws its ether from Drake's Breath, a mother crystal situated on a volcanic island off the coast. The dominant Phoenix, icon of fire, is enthroned as the Archduke when they come of age. Now, when they speak of Archduke, it's more like either the ruler or the original Archduke's son. That would play an important role in who they refer to as the dominant. Keep that in your back of your mind for now. But now we're going to move on to our next nation. This is Sunbreaku, also known as the Holy Empire. The backstory behind this nation is, it is the largest theocratic force in Valisthea. The Empire holy capital, Oriflamme, is built around Drake's head, the mother crystal that blesses the surrounding provinces with abundant ether. The people happily take advantage of this, living in comfort and security under the watchful gaze of the Holy Empire, whom they worship as the living incarnation of the one true deity. The dominant Bahamut, Warden of Light, serves as the Empire's champion, taken to the field in times of war to rout its enemies. And just by this nation having Bahamut as their icon to represent them, it is a very concerning, especially you're having him as basically your muscle. And also, going off what the trailers we have seen for Final Fantasy 16, I get a vibe they would play a more villain role, I should say, like the planner, like the ones in, like the one planning in the back, the one who has, like one who's using somebody to their advantage while they're trying to get their own deal at the end of the bargain. Basically, they just give me off that kind of vibe. Alright, moving on to the next one. Next we have is the Dominican Republic. Sorry for my mispronunciation if I said it wrong. The story behind them is the Dominican Republic is made up of 5 states, from which the members of its ruling parliament are drawn. Its mother crystal from Drake's Fang is half hidden in the heart of a mountain range. The Republic controls Aura and its ether, securing the obedience of the large part of the southern Valistia. The dominant Titan, icon of Earth, is installed as a special advisor of Parliament and has a significant say in its decision making. That's very interesting, because going off of some info that we will talk about later, some will refer to as the dominance being used as weapons. But in this case, when you have for Titan, its dominant has a saying of what goes on in this nation and always have a say. But then again, when you really think about it, will you really try to backtalk to somebody who has the icon of Titan? Wouldn't be me, honestly. Would not be me. Alright, on to our next one. The next nation is called the Iron Kingdom, and they are a very interesting one, and you're about to find out why. A small group of islands off the coast of Storm, the western half of Valistia, twin realms. Here, the Crystalline Orthodox and extreme faith that worships crystals reign supreme. The Iron Kingdom controls Drake's Breath, the mother crystal that sits at the heart of one of their islands, long a source of contention with neighboring Rosaria. Isolated and aloft from the mainland nations, the Ironbloods speak their own language. Orthodox doctrine judges dominance to be unholy and abominations, and any unlucky enough to be born on the island will be executed. So, the Iron Kingdom, you could kind of say they have like a cult mindset, that they worship the mother crystals, and anybody that's from their land that's born to be a dominant is executed. And I see that a very extreme, in my opinion, but it is what it is. It's their nation, so if that's their law, if anybody that's born with a dominant, they gotta get executed. It doesn't sit right with me, but it is what it is. It will be very interesting when we get to the point that we explore this nation. Now for our final nation, Waylood. Waylood is a very interesting nation, judging how it looks and location. Their background story is Waylood claims the entirety of Ash, the eastern half of Valistia, as a dominion. The kingdom control of the continent has oft been tested by the orcs and other beastmen who make their home there. But the current ruler of the realm, dominant of Odin, warden of darkness, have succeeded in quelling their rebellions. Using the power of the kingdom's mother crystal, Drake's Spine, this new king has built up a mighty army with which he now seeks to test the borders of his neighbors. So just reading off of that, Waylude looks like to be the one that will be first in line for war. And the fact to test the borders of his neighbors, it looks like he will attack the other nations unprovoked or unless he needs to, which is kind of alarming to say because since he's the dominant of Odin, like he's the icon. They have the icon Odin, and let me make this clear: all these icons are no slouch, but some are stronger than others, unfortunately. But I think it will be a very interesting fight. Alright, now we got the story and the nations out of the way. We'll move on to the icons that we will come across in Final Fantasy 16. Next, we will discuss upon icons, aka summons, depending on the Final Fantasy game. Icons will play a big important role in Final Fantasy 16 when it comes to story and gameplay. What we will discuss in this segment is which icons that we will see in the game and also their abilities. But I will say this, there will be two I will not discuss upon. One of them is already on the list, so it would be kind of useless for me to explain that icon when there's already one of him in the game gonna be in the discussion already. And the other one is there's not enough info to go off on, and I will point out which one I'm referring to. The one I'm talking about is this big giant icon in the trailer that shows Ifrit's fighting against. His name is unknown and we don't really get a good picture of what it looks like. Some people theorize it could be Golem and stuff, but since there's not enough grand evidence of who it could be, I'm just gonna leave them out for the sake of this video. Alright, on to our first icon we're going to discuss. First one up is Phoenix, the representative for the Grand Duchy of Rosaria. He grants his owner the ability of fire-related magic and abilities, and his ultimate attack is called Phoenix Flame. Our next icon is Shiva. Same thing with Phoenix, she will give her owner the power to freeze her enemies with ice, and her ultimate attack is Diamond Dust. Our next icon we have is Titan. He gives the user incredible super strength and durability, and his ultimate attack is called Gaia's Wrath. Next we have Garuda, the elemental wind, and her ultimate attack is Aerial Blast, which I believe we have seen in the trailer because there is a segment in one of the trailers that she's fighting against Ifrit and she actually do some type of attack and blew off his arm. I thought that was pretty interesting to see. Next we have Ifrit. He works the same way as Phoenix, giving his user fire elemental attacks, but this time his ultimate attack is Hellfire. And the funny thing is, in Final Fantasy 16, we seen there's actually two Ifrits in the trailers, and the second one that we see people refer to as Dark Ifrit. I didn't want to do like an analysis on him because I'm pretty sure he is just like the regular Ifrit, maybe the fire is a little bit different, and we do not know who possessed that power. So as of now, the ones I said before, the mystery one and Dark Ifrit, I will not show images of them because one, we don't have that much details on it, and the other one is I'm pretty sure he works the same way just as regular Ifrit, just probably different looking fire attacks. So yeah, before I start rambling, on to the next one. Next we have Odin, who is all about doing physical damage. With the help of his ultimate attack, Zanzetsuken, which can do pretty much an instant kill if you're hit. Next we have Rama. Same thing like the other elemental icons, his own revolve around thunder magic. And with the help of his ultimate attack, Judgment Bolt, he will get the job done. And last but not least, Bahamut. He is known as Dragon King in the Final Fantasy lore, and he is a force to be reckoned with, especially with his strong non-elemental attack, Mega Flare. Alright, now that's all the icons that are confirmed to be shown in Final Fantasy 16. There is one more mystery one, but it have not been confirmed that he's could be in the game. Just going off of, funny enough, is actually this trailer that you actually see like somewhat of an image of him, but granted, since we haven't seen him, I can't really add him, unfortunately. Alright, now the last and final segment of this video, we're going to talk about the characters who will be wielding these fierce godlike beings. Our first character is Clive Rosefield. He is the main protagonist that we'll be playing as in Final Fantasy 16, and he's also the first son of the Archduke of Rosaria. His people was hoping for him to be the dominant for Phoenix for their kingdom. Unfortunately, fate didn't see it that way. Instead, he was given the dominant of Ifrit, which we still don't know how he was able to get it, because apparently in this world, there's only been one of each element. So the fact that people saw that Ifrit is here, which means dark foretold is about to happen. He had taken up the swordsmanship for his kingdom to become the youngest to be ranked in the army of his kingdom. And it's pretty interesting because it was said that through this game we'll be playing 3 different versions of Clive through time skips. When he's young, a young adult, and when he's a fully grown adult. It will be very interesting how his story progressed through these time skips. Now, we're going to move on to the next character. Next, we have the second son of the Archduke, Joshua Rosefield, and Clive's younger brother by 5 years. He's more of the timid, a little bit shy compared to his strong, brave brother. But of course, he wasn't really happy about being the dominant of the Firebird, because he sees it as Clive being more worthy of him. But he still truly admires his brother, and despite him being a noble, he does treat his father's subjects with warmth and affection, which is very surprising for that kind of person upbringing. But of course, as we know from the trailers and a little bit info here and there, stuff does not end well with Joshua. We could assume that something tragic happened, thus making Clive go on this big revenge story. But I guess we just have to wait and see for us to get that full confirmation of what truly happens to Joshua, unfortunately. Alright, now that's finished up with the Rosaria brothers. Now we're gonna go on to our next set of characters. Next we have Jill Warwick, who is the dominant of the icon Shiva. She was formerly known as a princess in the northern part of Valestia, but unfortunately she was taken from her homeland at a tender age to become a ward of Rosaria. The Archduke insisted that she be raised along his sons and has become as much part of the Rosefield household as Clive and Joshua. As we saw through numerous parts of the trailer, we see her interact with Clive and Joshua, basically make her feel like she's part of the family. But of course, the Kingdom of Rosaria does fall under mysterious circumstances or an unknown force. We don't know what happens to Jill through the time skip, but you do come across her again in later part of the game when she's older. At this point, she become a warrior and thus fully embrace the power of Shiva in combat. And as a bonus, she does sometimes become a party member, so that's also good too. Alright, on to the next one. Next on our list is Dion Lesage. He is the crown prince of the Holy Empire Seppuku, and he is the dominant of the icon Bahamut. He's also a leader of its noblest and most feared order of knights, the Dragoons. Dion is loved and respected by both his people and his troops. Not at least for many times he has turned the tide of battle in their favor. Indeed, songs of a heroism of the warrior prince and his icon Bahamut, king of dragons, are never far from the lips and lutes of Seppuku's bards. But his story is a little bit interesting. Dion, I get the feeling from Dion is his upbringing as a prince was not all sunshine and rainbows, or at least not until he awakened the power of Bahamut. I have a feeling, looking at how he is in the trailer, he doesn't feel like they only worship me instead because I'm a dominant and not just who I am. And I think his father, who is the emperor of the Holy Empire, I think he exploits that. Basically, to him, his son is nothing but a weapon. Of course, this has not have been confirmed to be the case. Just going off how he looks in the trailer and stuff, and how smug looking his father is, because let's face it, you have considered one of the strongest icons in Final Fantasy lore as a weapon to use if anybody tried to cross you. Yeah, I'll probably be smug too. Like, Bahamut could be considered the ultimate cheat code for your problems. So, if my theory is true that his father is just using him as a weapon just to do his bidding, I could see a potential party member with Bahamut. Of course, in some of the gameplay, we have seen Clive use the power of Bahamut. We still don't know to what extent how he's able to do this. I think I'm going to talk more about that at the end of the video. Alright, on to the next one. Now on to the muscles. Hugo Kupka. He resides in the Dominican Republic, and he's also the dominant for the icon Titan. He's a prominent economic advisor. Meteoric rise to prominence was sudden, if not unexpected. He was once a nameless foot soldier in the Republican army. His awakening as a dominant of the icon Titan thrust him to the forefront of Dominican politics. It was here he used his newfound position as the most powerful man in the Republic to exert influence over both the nation's armies and its policymaking, amassing a personal fortune in the process. Yet, while it's said that a man who has everything wants nothing, somebody that he knew, Benekita Hartman, will teach him money and power are far from all the world has to offer. So, his upbringing, it was unexpected, but once he awakened the power of Titan, nobody could say no to him. Thus, he is a big influence for his nation. And that's why in some of the trailers, you actually see him in the meeting rooms where it comes with all the nations are discussing how they're going to deal with the blight that's plaguing their land. And you may be wondering, who's Benekita Hartman? Well, funny enough, we're about to get into that one right now. This is Benekita Hartman. She is from the nation of Waylude, and she is the dominant for the icon Garuda. And she's also the elite commander of Waylude's intelligence. It is said that having emerged from the storm of youth, cold-hearted and ruthless, Benekita Hartman, dominant of the icon Garuda, warden of the wind, turned her talent for swordplay and subterfuge into a command of Waylude's elite intelligence. But it turns out she is also on a mission to find the elusive second icon of fire that she crosses paths with a like-minded Clive and forced to face her past. That is an interesting take, that she's on a mission looking for the second fire icon. And what does Clive have to do with her past? Is it because how Waylu looked? Maybe Ifrit attacked it or something? That is a question saved for later. Or we most likely have to wait for the full game to release to find out those answers. But it's pretty interesting because she does have close ties to another, or possibly close ties with two other icons that are about to be shown now. Let's get to one of them right this moment. Next we have the King of Waylu, Barnabas Dormer, and the dominant of the icon Odin. His story is pretty interesting, especially having some type of relationship with Benekita. He did not start off as a king for Waylu. It said arrive on the shores of Ash as a landless and tireless wanderer. It was Barnabas' skill with a blade that won him a kingdom, and though the local beastmen were to rise in revolt against his rule, Barnabas called on the power of his icon Odin to quell the rebellion, nigh single-handedly, bringing the entirety of the eastern continent under the Waylord's banner. Now he has an army and a navy that rival any in Valistia at his disposal, yet still the king is drawn to where the fighting is thickest, riding to battle atop his spectral steed and sundering foes with his fabled black blade, or merely observing the unfolding chaos from the sideline, a grisly gleam of fascination in his eyes. He has the warrior instincts, just going off what it says about him. He likes chaos and fighting. He's not one of those kings that would send his troops to fight for him. If there's a battle, you would definitely expect Barnabas to be first in line to give out the smoke to anybody that try to come for his nation. Now, I said before there would possibly a second person that have close ties to maybe Barnabas and Benekita, but that's just my theory alone. And now we're going to get on to our final dominant. Now for our final dominant, Silophus Telamon, aka known as Sid. He is the dominant for the icon Rama. Now, this is where my theory comes to play, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I think Sid is originally from Waylu. I believe he was a soldier for Waylu, but of course he decided to leave and run away from that kingdom for unknown reasons. And the reason why I say this is the information that they have for him. This is what the information says. Known to his friends as Sid, this soldier turned outlaw tried to build a place where a persecuted bearers and exploited dominants can die on their own terms. A man of science, he also conducts research into how one might live in the Deadland, as he and his band of fellow heretics must. Sid is also a dominant the power of the icon Rama, having awakened with them shortly after he landed on Valistalian shores. No doubt it was this power that saw him rise through the ranks of the Royal Wayluders army, where it would be seen he crossed paths with a certain Benekita Harmon. So, originally Sid is not from Valistia, but at some point he does make it to the island and became burning through the ranks of the Waylud's army, and he does cross paths with a certain Benekita Harmon. That gives me the theory that maybe at some point Sid was probably one of the previous ruler of Waylu's bodyguard. And of course, when Barnabas came, it did not end well for that family. So thus in a shame, maybe Sid decided to exile himself. But one thing that I find interesting that was said, he wants Dominants to die on their own turn. It is being theorized that the more use of the Dominant using the power icon, they slowly start draining away of their life force, thus at some point turning them to stone and killing them. So Sid is on a mission to look for a land that icons could die on their own terms, live a peaceful, quiet life without having to fight or deal with war. So it's interesting, and as we saw from one of the trailers, Clive actually joins Sid, Sid's group going through the Badlands that the Blight have destroyed. So time will tell. The story of Sid will go on, and I'm more enjoying Final Fantasy 16 because it looks like each character will have their own little story to tell. Will it be a good ending for them or a bad one? Is yet to see. But of course, we're not gonna wrap up this video yet. There's some bonus info I would like to share. The bonus info I have for Final Fantasy 16, one of them is this is the first number title that is rated M for mature. And we're not talking about Stranger of Paradise or Type 0 because there are not number titles of the mainline Final Fantasy games. So this makes Final Fantasy 16 the first mature title game. As we could clearly see Joshua's father getting killed, getting his head chopped off in front of him, and Benekita and Barnabas having relations in bed. But when it comes to the gameplay mechanic, they have recruited the combat designer for Devil May Cry. So Final Fantasy 16 is pushing away from the turn-based combat. Lately, Square Enix have been pushing away from that. I'm good with either one, but I think an action style gameplay will work better than turn-based for Final Fantasy 16. You will have party members at different points in the game, and you will also have a companion that they say that you could possibly control. And I'm thinking it's going to be Torgo, which is the dog that we saw from the first trailer, but when it's fully grown. There is a skill tree for the different abilities for the icons that you're able to switch out. I cannot say for sure if they will have like loadouts for the skill tree, but that's good either way, that we're getting a big old skill tree for you to try with all the characters. The game is due to release on June 22nd, 2023, so soon we'll be able to play Final Fantasy 16 and unlock all the story that this game has to offer. And here are the questions that we have. Where did the Blight come from? How are the nobles' children are chose to be a icon? What happens when they die? Will the icon just be reincarnated again for the next line? Or is that icon dead for sure? And who is the mysterious force that wields the power of the Dark Ifrit and who destroyed Rosaria? These are the questions that we don't know yet. But as soon as we get close to launch, we'll probably get our answers, or they will save it for a surprise for us. So, there's my video of everything you should know about Final Fantasy 16. I hope this video give you a little more insight on Final Fantasy 16 and to see if you're looking forward to buying it. Me personally, I definitely am. It's going to be day one play. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a good night. I'll catch you guys in the next one.